Good morning. Commissioner Shivakula, can you lead us in the flag salute? Hallelujah. Praise you. Well, welcome everyone on this pretty July morning. Public notice statement.
Adequate public notice has been given pursuant to the Open Publics Meeting Act. Notice have been posted at the board's office and have been delivered to the Department of State and to newspapers of broad circulation within the state.
Thank you. Roll call.
Commissioner Holden.
Here.
Commissioner Solomon.
Here.
Commissioner Shivakula.
Here.
Commissioner Gordon. Here. President Fiorliso.
Here. And our next meeting, Ada?
Our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, August 7, 10 a.m. in Committee Room 4, State House Annex.
Thank you. Before we get into, there are a number of items that are being deferred. 1A, 1B, 8I, and 8K. And 8I and 8K will be taken up at our next board meeting in August. 1A and 1B at a later date. So anyone who is here for those items, I know our meetings are spellbinding, and you might want to stay for the meeting even if you're not interested in some of the items, but nobody even reacts. Do you notice? Okay. We will have an executive session today, and the board will be addressing the following items in executive session. Clean energy item F, 8F, in the matter of the implementation of PL 2018 regarding the establishment of energy efficiency and peak demand reduction programs. What's the second one here?
That's the same one.
Okay, that's it. All right, that's part of miscellaneous item A, and which is the matter of energy assistance grant as authorized under NJSA 48:2-29.39 and NJSA 46:30B-74B, payment assistance for gas and electric program. I expect executive session to last hopefully no more than 30 minutes. DAGs, would you give the reason?
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. We are moving into executive session under the exceptions to the Open Public Meetings Act at NJSA 10:4-12B7 for anticipated contract negotiation and matters falling within attorney-client privilege.
Okay, thank you. I said it will last approximately 30 minutes. We will be taking action on miscellaneous item A in public session. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Holden.
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon.
Yes.
Commissioner Shivakula.
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon. Yes. President Fiorliso.
Yes. We'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you. We are back in open session. Just a couple of introductions, some new folks on board. Damian Santini has joined our Budget and Finance Office. Damian here? No, hopefully he's working. And then you're going to... Excuse me. Thank you. I'm going to be put to the test here. We have a new intern, Aishik Mukherjee. How bad did I kill that? I'm all right? The person here? Where is he? What did he say? No. Just want to say hello and introduce you. Welcome. I'm sorry if I screwed up your name. And then we also have an extern with Commissioner Shivakula, Niharika Thuraville. Did I say that all right? There you are. Welcome. I guess that was close enough. Killing me here.
Actually, the Britishers gave that name was Corp. They made it short.
Oh, I shortened mine too. As most of you know, we recently rolled out a draft of the Energy Master Plan. As mentioned in the previous board meeting, stakeholder input will be vital in our creation of a final Energy Master Plan. The first EMP stakeholder meeting will take place Wednesday, July 17th, that's next Wednesday, in this room. Stakeholders can find all the meeting details, including how to register, on our website. They can also RSVP to the meeting they plan to attend on BPU's Facebook page in the events section. I would also like to reiterate that the BPU now has a listserv that we use to send out information regarding BPU meetings and other public events, such as stakeholder meetings. You can sign up for this listserv on the homepage of the BPU website, where there is a link that says, join the BPU listserv. So please look for that on our website. Do any other commissioners have any opening remarks? Okay, bless you. Different one, okay. All right, Ada, consent agenda?
On consent agenda items 1A, 2A, 2B, 3A, 3B, 3C, 4A, and the minutes for the June 12, 2019 agenda meeting.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Fiordaliso?
Yes.
Approval of the executive session minutes from the May 25th, 2016 agenda meeting, agenda item 2E.
President,
Yes.
I'm going to recuse myself from this item as I was not a member of the board at that time.
Thank you.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
President Fiordaliso?
Yes. Thank you, Ada. As I mentioned earlier, audits items A and B are being deferred to a later date. So that brings us down to energy. Stacy, 2A.
Good morning, Commissioners. Agenda item 2A relates to a February 2018 petition filed by PSEG seeking approval of a rate schedule CSG transportation service agreement between PSEG and UMM Energy Partners, LLC. The filing was submitted pursuant to the economically viable bypass provision as set forth in PS's tariff. On April 12th of 2018, UMM filed a petition requesting a reduction of its societal benefits charge obligation. On April 11th of 2019, PSEG filed an amended petition with the board requesting that the board approve an amended service agreement between PS and UMM that would provide UMM with interruptible transportation service at discounted rates pursuant to the other considerations provision of its tariff. Per the amended petition, UMM would withdraw its April 2018 petition and request for a reduced SBC obligation. On June 6, 2019, Rate Counsel submitted comments regarding the two matters, stating that it did not object to the terms of service set forth in the proposed amended agreement. Staff recommends approval of the amended CSG agreement.
So moved.
Comments? Questions? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon? Yes. Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon? Yes. President Fiordaliso?
Yes. 2B, JCP&L. Stace.
Yes. On October 1st of 2018, JCP&L filed a petition seeking review and approval of its deferred balances and an adjustment to certain components of its societal benefits charge for calendar year 2017. The petition proposed a net decrease to the company's rider SBC of approximately $10.6 million on an annual basis. In response to a discovery request in the matter, JCP&L updated the revenue requirements based on updated sales figures. On March 15th, 2019, prior to the resolution of this matter, JCP&L filed its 2018 SBC petition. In that petition, the petitioner advised that should the board approve the decrease requested in the 2017 petition, it would need to increase the rates by approximately $8.3 million related to the SBC components. As such, in the 2018 petition, JCP&L proposed no changes be made to the current board-approved SBC rates. On June 19th of 2019, the parties executed a stipulation requesting the board authorize the maintenance of the rates approved by the board's August 2018 order. As a result, customers will see no change in their bills. Staff recommends the board issue an order adopting the stipulation and directing JCP&L to file tariffs consistent with its order by August 1st.
So moved.
Comments? Questions? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon? Yes. Commissioner Chivukula? Yes. Commissioner Gordon? Yes. President Fiordaliso?
Yes. 2C, another JCP&L matter.
Correct. On January 15th of this year, JCP&L filed a petition requesting review and approval of the amounts included in its storm recovery charge rider relating to the recovery of board-approved major storm deferred O&M costs related to 2012 major storms, and to determine how to end the collection in December of 2019. The company provided data that supported a decrease in the SRC revenues of approximately $5.6 million. However, similar to previous years, JCP&L proposed no change to the current SRC rate because of the minimal impact of the potential decrease, and because the tariff is scheduled to end as of December 31st of 2019. According to JCP&L, when it becomes apparent the remaining balance will be fully recovered, JCP&L will reduce the rider SRC rate to zero, with advance notice to board, staff, and rate counsel. The company noted that if there is an over-recovery when the collection ends, they will pay interest and credit the balance to the societal benefits charge. On June 25th, the parties executed a stipulation which would allow for the maintenance of the current SRC rate until the collection of the remaining balance is complete. As a result, their customers will see no change in their monthly bills. Staff recommends the board approve the stipulation and direct JCP&L to file tariffs by August 1st.
So moved.
Questions? Comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon? Yes. Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon? Yes. President Fiordaliso?
Yes. 2D, Stacy, Public Service.
Yeah, on April 26th, PSEG filed a petition seeking approval to recover an additional $8.9 million in revenues related to its non-utility generation charge costs. The proposed change in revenue was based on actual data through February of 2019 and estimated information through June 30th of 2020. Because the current under-recovery is continuing to grow as a result of the current rate being a credit, PSEG proposed that until the parties had the opportunity to review the petition, that the NGC rate be set at 0 on a provisional basis. On June 28th, the parties executed a stipulation that would allow PSEG to implement an NGC rate of 0 on a provisional basis, subject to refund. As a result, a typical residential electric customer will see an increase in their annual bill of 60 cents. Staff recommends that the board approve this stipulation and direct PSEG to file revised tariffs by July 15th.
So moved.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon? President Fiordaliso?
Yes. 2E, a contract with Montclair State University. Ben?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
This is item 2E. Staff seeks a contract with the Clean Energy and Sustainability Analytics Center at Montclair State University to perform an economic assessment of the greenhouse gas emissions leakage potential from New Jersey rejoining the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. In 2018, Governor Murphy issued Executive Order 7, directing DEP and BPU to take all actions necessary for New Jersey to rejoin RGGI. On June 17th of this year, DEP adopted 2 rules to facilitate New Jersey rejoining RGGI. Subsequent to the rule adoption, per statute, the BPU is to adopt measures to mitigate any potential leakage of greenhouse gas emissions resulting from New Jersey rejoining RGGI. The objective of the economic assessment is to analyze potential greenhouse gas emissions leakage, the impacts of any potential leaking on energy prices, including the value of any offsetting benefits, and the methods to mitigate the greenhouse gas emissions leakage potential. The basis for this economic assessment will be through the use of a detailed electric economic dispatch model similar to the models run by PJM for economic dispatch in the PJM market. The proposed new agreement between the board and Montclair State University, if approved by the board, will have a work period beginning July 1st of this year, running through March 31st of 2020, and a total budget of $231,865, with funding for the contract to be allocated from assessment funds. In addition, staff also requests that the board direct staff to initiate and complete an informal stakeholder proceeding on RGGI greenhouse gas leakage potential and mitigation. The informal proceeding should address the extent of any potential increase in imports of electricity into New Jersey with higher emissions from outside the RGGI region as a result of rejoining RGGI, and its impacts on greenhouse gas emissions and the cost of electricity. Questions?
You made the 2 recommendations here?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
One for the contract and one for the proceeding.
Good.
Yeah, stakeholder proceeding.
I'll move those recommendations.
Questions? Bob?
So, what kinds of options might be available to us to mitigate the leakage issue? I mean, we impose a tariff on energy coming from out of the state or outside the RGGI region. What might those options be?
Well, that's certainly something that we'd like to uncover during the stakeholder process, but the statute envisions, among other possible options that we might come up with, the possibility for an emissions portfolio standard. But there would be other options as well, including a lot of issues related to the PJM market and the other RGGI states that would need to be explored fully through this informal stakeholder process that we're recommending.
Any other questions? Yes?
What are the deliverables out of this contract?
There are 4 overall tasks, and just so I get it clear, I'll just read them off to you, if that's all right. So there's the running of the dispatch model itself. So it would be a base scenario of not joining RGGI and then a scenario of rejoining RGGI and how that would change market conditions and possibly leakage and energy prices. A sub-regional economic model. So in this case, it would be, they've proposed a computable general equilibrium model, essentially a model of the New Jersey macroeconomy, labor, workforce, other, capital, all the pieces of the New Jersey economy. So a model that links the economic dispatch with the economy of New Jersey, and then the output results from those 2 models. Analyzing the policy scenarios that would be developed as potential mitigation measures, and how that would change the output results of the model. And then, a report that summarizes, all of those results into a digestible format for the public and the board.
Will they also model the energy efficiency requirements from Clean Energy Act of 2018?
That's not part of this proposal.
Not part of this one.
Yeah, this is just specific to the RGGI.
The leakage.
Leakage mitigation.
Okay, because that will affect the leakage also, yeah, okay.
Yeah, the leakage issue it's huge for New Jersey. I mean, I think we, certainly have to recognize that, and we have to make sure that New Jersey is not overpaying for, for some other state's program, and that we get the results, from this compact that are the best deal for New Jersey. And a lot of times we get stuck being at the end of the line, or we're in some of these, compacts, and we end up at the short end of the stick. So this study and how we proceed is going to be very important for New Jersey.
To follow up on Commissioner Solomon's remarks, this is one of the things that, not necessarily leakage, but in other areas too, in addition to the leakage, is why we're many times at odds with organizations like PJM, because it does relate, and they've actually said this, well, unfortunately, you're at the end of the line. Well, that shouldn't make the New Jersey ratepayer pay more money, because we're at the end of the line. So this is some of the things that we're constantly challenging them on, and something that is extremely important for the ratepayers in the state of New Jersey. So hopefully a lot of this can be, as far as the leakage at any rate, be answered through this study, and thank you for your work on that. Any other comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Fiordaliso?
Yes. There are no cable television or telecommunication items. We're up to water. Mike?
Good morning, Commissioners. The 2 water items for both New Jersey American and Environmental Disposal Corporation, or EDC, are continuing board actions on the Tax Cut and Jobs Act of 2017. In the case of New Jersey American filed their tax case in March of 2018. They reflected a proposed rate reduction of 5.88%, and they also deferred with interest at the short-term debt rate, the difference between the recovery being made using the 35% tax rate at the tax expense calculated at the 21% new tax rate under the Tax Act for the period from January through March, which is the so-called stub period. The company's tax filing also included proposals related to the effects of the Act on deferred income taxes, which will be addressed at a later date in this proceeding. New Jersey American, Rate Counsel, and staff, collectively the parties, have reviewed the company's filing, exchanged discovery, filed comments and reply comments, and reached a resolution with regard to the disposition of the stub period amount and the difference between the originally implemented rate decrease of 5.88% and the agreed upon rate decrease of 6.12%. The resulting partial stipulation will result in New Jersey American issuing a one-time credit to its customers, and staff recommends that the board adopt the partial stipulation.
So moved.
Comments, questions? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon? Yes. Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon? Yes. President Fiorliso?
Yes. That brings us to 5B, Mike.
That brings us to 5B, also related to the Tax Act. Environmental Disposal Corporation, or EDC, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of New Jersey American, filed a petition in March of 2018 reflecting a proposed rate decrease of 3.44% resulting from a Tax Act. They also deferred with interest the stub period amount from January 1st, 2018 at its short-term interest rate. Say that 3 times fast. The company's filing also included proposals related to the effects of the Act on its accumulated deferred income taxes, which will be addressed at a later date of this proceeding. Rate Counsel filed comments in May of 2018. EDC, Rate Counsel, and board staff engaged in settlement discussions, and as a result of these discussions have reached a resolution related to the refund of the federal income taxes collected during the stub period. Pursuant to the stipulation, the parties have agreed to the following: a $180,000 rate decrease, or approximately 3.23%. For the stub period, EDC deferred with interest the effect of the Tax Act also on the rate reduction of $180,000, or 3.23%. EDC will issue a one-time credit to its customers for the stub period and will also implement a rate decrease of 3.23%. Staff recommends that the board adopt the stipulation.
So moved.
Comments, questions? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon? Yes. Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon? Yes. President Fiorliso?
There is no items, thank you, Mike. There are no items under reliability and security to consider. Customer assistance. Eric?
Good morning, Commissioners.
How unusual, this relates to a dispute.
Sir?
I said, how unusual, this relates to a dispute.
Yeah, I know. It's a billing problem. I don't know why I keep getting these things. But in either case, this is unusual in the sense that normally before matters go to the Office of Administrative Law, the consumer will contact us in some way, shape, or form, so I have a bit more background. This is one where the consumer went directly to the Office of Administrative Law. Basically, it's a billing dispute between Mr. what's his name, Coronado de Goya and the Sewers Water Company of New Jersey. Briefly, he received a bill of approximately $29,000 from what the company calls underestimated billing. He disputed that amount. They went to the Office of Administrative Law, and the company and Mr. de Goya's attorney settled. He basically agreed to pay the bill. He would provide access to the meters, But the interesting thing about the settlement was a stipulation basically saying that if, in fact, he did not provide access to the company's meters after receiving a certified registered mail, that they would be able to bill him $75 a day until such access was, in fact, provided. I'll be honest with you, Commissioners, initially, because it was a settlement that was overseen and approved by the OAL judge, and the fact that the consumer had an attorney, had legal counsel, I was just going to let it go by. He's willing to pay $75 a day, okay. Fortunately, my DAGs took exception and pointed out the fact that there's really no basis in law, regulation, etc., for them to assess this $75 a day penalty, that there are in fact other remedies open to the company, such as disconnecting the service after proper notice. Therefore, staff's recommendation is that you in fact accept the stipulation and settlement with the exception of the $75 a day penalty. That's our recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Comments? Questions? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon? Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon? President Fiorelliso?
Yes. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
That brings us to clean energy, where we have a number of items. As I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, item 8I and 8K have been deferred until our August meeting. Sarah? Ben?
Yeah, good morning, Commissioners.
So you're doing 8A, Ben?
I do, yes. I'll be presenting on the first three matters.
Okay, Bristol-Myers?
Yes, that is the first one. This is a commercial industrial program incentive exceeding $500,000. So Bristol-Myers Squibb submitted an application under the combined heat and power and fuel cell program requesting board approval of a financial incentive of exactly $3 million for installation of a cogeneration system. The system would be installed in Princeton, New Jersey, and would have a total cost of $32,238,000. This CHP project involves the installation of a 5,420 kilowatt gas turbine with a heat recovery steam generator. A steam chiller would also be installed as part of this project. The recovered waste heat would serve the heating and cooling needs of new buildings under construction at this campus. The annual system efficiency is expected to be 61.1%, which exceeds the minimum requirements for our program. Additionally, the system will have black start and islanding capabilities. Annually, this project is anticipated to generate 34,970,267 kilowatt hours of electricity and utilize an estimated 141,828 MMBTUs in waste heat. Additionally, the project will also reduce electrical grid demand by producing 5,420 kilowatts of its own power. It will also, the annual electricity savings from offsetting the electric space cooling needs is also anticipated to total 20,350,296 kilowatt hours. The proposed project will have an estimated annual energy cost savings of $4,805,575. The payback period without incentives here is 6.71 years, and when factoring in the incentives, the payback period would be reduced to 5.73 years. And so staff recommends approval of the application for the total estimated incentive amount.
So moved.
Questions? Oh, I'm sorry. Questions? Yes.
Mr. President, I'll be recusing myself from this item.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon? Yes. Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
President Fiorelliso?
Yes. Brings us to 8B, Ben, another energy efficiency item.
Yes, correct. This is for a company known as Cascades Holding U.S. Incorporated. This company submitted an application under the Pay for Performance New Construction Program. The company is requesting board approval of a financial incentive of $789,187.20. Sorry, That would be $789,187.20. And that's for installation of energy conservation measures, or ECMs, that have a total cost of $3,322,639. This application covers ECMs for a new construction facility that will consist of a cardboard manufacturing plant, a storage building, and office space. The proposed construction design consists of high-efficiency HVAC systems, LED lighting, building shell improvements, and several other elements, which I'll talk about a little bit. The proposed HVAC systems include a high-efficiency electric hot water heater, gas furnaces, and a gas steam boiler. The other proposed HVAC measures are high-efficiency rooftop units and variable refrigerant flow, or VRF heat pumps with heat recovery. These will allow different rooms in the central system to set their own temperature, which increases in efficiency by providing HVAC services based on demand rather than based on a static load. Otherwise, the project also proposes to install interior and exterior LED lighting with occupancy sensors, as well as insulated roller doors and low emissivity windows that will reduce the amount of heat that escapes the facility. I got emissivity right. I'm just going to point out I'm very proud of that. Finally, the company proposes to install destratification fans that will balance and equalize the temperature within the buildings, as well as install a variable frequency drive on the air compressor's motor. Annually, this project is anticipated to conserve 1,030,313 kilowatt hours of electricity, as well as 27,093 therms of natural gas. It will also reduce annual peak electricity demand by 221.2 kilowatts. The proposed project will have an estimated annual energy cost savings of $70,957.94, which represents a 7.2% cost savings compared to the code baseline. The payback period here without incentives would be exactly 15 years, and when factoring in the incentives, the payback period is reduced to 4.1 years, which is very sizable. And so staff recommends approval of the application for the total estimated incentive amount.
So moved.
Comments? Questions? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Fiordaliso?
Yes, and I think both of these, 8A and 8B, show our large energy users trying to conserve and make their facilities more energy efficient, and because it's going to take everybody if we're going to continue to fight climate change the way we have to. 8C, another application. You doing that, Ben?
Yes, I am. This actually relates to an appeal petition submitted by Innovative Solutions Corporation, and they are appealing the denial of several applications for incentives submitted under the New Jersey Smart Start Buildings program. So Innovative Solutions Corporation submitted this petition on February 19th, 2019. And the petition requests that the Board of Public Utilities reverse the denial of 18 of their applications to the Smart Start Buildings program, as I mentioned. The company has a little bit of history here. The company submitted a series of applications to the program between February 3rd, 2014 and June 29th, 2015. And they claim that the 18 applications that comprise this petition were completed between March 15th, 2014 and November 20th, 2015. The New Jersey Clean Energy Program Program Manager, TRC, did not receive any documentation or request for extension regarding these projects for over a year, and so they were canceled per the program rules in place at this time. In December of 2016, Innovative Solutions reached out to TRC to ask about the status of these applications. After TRC informed the company that they had been canceled, the company appealed TRC's decision on March 13th, 2017. After accepting this appeal, TRC gave Innovative Solutions until April 28th, 2017 to submit the documentation needed to complete these applications. While the company submitted most of the documentation on time, TRC found that the submissions were still highly deficient in multiple areas and denied the subject applications on May 10th, 2017. After the matter had been closed for over a year and a half, the company again contacted TRC on November 30th, 2018, requesting that the appeal be reopened. And after TRC again denied this request, Innovative Solutions submitted a petition to the board on February 19th, 2019. And so, after reviewing the petition and the relevant case details, staff agrees with TRC's decision to deny the applications. The current petition relies upon inaccurate, incomplete, and out-of-date information and documentation. Accordingly, staff recommends that the board deny the petition at this time.
So moved.
Questions? Comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon? Yes. Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon? Yes. President Fiordaliso?
Yes. 8D, thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
8D relates to the extension for the Renewable Energy Storage Grant. Scott?
Yes, sir. Commissioners, this matter is in respect to the request for an extension in the Renewable Electric Storage Rebate Program from a petition of Hammington Meat Packers and their solar and storage developer, Solar Landscape. On May 24th, 2019, the petitioners submitted the petition seeking a second extension of the deadline for construction completion in the program for a 500 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery. The proposed storage system is designed to enable a proposed 500 kilowatt DC solar electric generation facility in support of HMP's operation in Monroeville, New Jersey. Solar Landscape submitted a rebate application in fiscal year 2017, and the New Jersey Clean Energy Program issued its initial rebate approval on January 8th, 2018, with a commitment length of 12 months. According to the fiscal year 18 New Jersey Clean Energy Program revised compliance filing approved by the board with the fiscal year 18 true-up budget, the project should have been granted an 18-month commitment length with an opportunity for one 6-month extension. Solar Landscape's development of the Monroeville project has been continuous since it was initiated in 2017. HMP and Solar Landscape's request for a second extension of the rebate commitment details a series of actions that evidence their pursuit of a mutually agreeable solution to the interconnection constraints posed by Atlantic City Electric's distribution system. Staff recommends the board grant the petitioner 6 months from expiration of its current rebate commitment until January 9, 2020 to submit a complete post-construction certification package to the Clean Energy Program's Renewable Electric Storage Rebate Processing Team.
So moved.
Questions? Comments? Governor has set energy storage targets for both 2021 and 2030. As the state continues on the path towards these goals, we are hopeful that projects like this can be developed to help meet our targets. And I know you're working very hard, and the entire division's working very hard to meet those goals. And as we continue down the road, it's important that we always keep our eye on the goal, so to speak. Any other questions, comments? Yes, sir.
You have a reduced amount of 135,000. What is the reason for that?
Well, the intent when the program was designed was that we had the first round of projects were not able to construct and requesting extensions. We were trying to encourage them to construct within our original commitment length.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Roll call. I'm sorry.
Just, I noticed that in terms of requesting for the extension, they referred to the permitting process with municipalities and the like. I think we have to be careful for the basis that we, continue to give time. I think that's in large part a part of doing business. I think every project probably runs into those types of delays, and that, that in and of itself, I would not, generally expect that that would be a reason for a extension, but, for the other reasons given, I would vote in favor of it.
Yes, sir.
I note that on a number of these matters, the delays have been caused in part by difficulties obtaining local permits. I believe many of them have been scheduling issues. Have any of these delays been the result of confusion on the part of the local planning and zoning boards as to the goals of the energy programs, or any technical issues that they just don't understand?
I'll have to get back to you with some of that information, but in this case, the issues for the delay were interconnection issues with Atlantic City Electric.
Okay.
But there were other projects that were confronted with permitting and zoning and code issues, and I'll do some research and get back to you.
I asked the question because it just occurs to me that if these local planning and zoning boards, and I speak as someone who served on a planning board for 10 years, if there is some confusion on their part in terms of the technical issues, it might be appropriate for us to reach out to an organization like the New Jersey Association of Planning Officials or the League of Municipalities to add some new content to their already established training programs for planning and zoning board members. I don't know whether I'm raising a question about a problem that doesn't exist, but if it does, we might want to consider that.
Any other questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon? President Fiordaliso?
Yes. 8E regarding Formosa Plastics. Who's presenting that? Ron? Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. This involves Formosa Plastic Corporation USA of Livingston, and on April 3rd, 2019, they submitted a petition to the board requesting a 5-month extension for the Solar Renewable Energy Certificate Purchase and Sale Agreement, or the PSA, between Formosa and Jersey Central Power and Light Company as a winning bidder in JCPL's Round 7 SREC 2 financing auction. On or about January 17, 2018, Formosa entered into a SREC PSA with JCPL for the SREC from this project. The project is approximately 1 megawatt of solar energy and is intended to be net metered. On January 16, 2019, Formosa requested and received an initial 6-month extension of the 12-month completion deadline for the project from JCPL to July 22, 2019. Due to local permitting delays, Formosa now requests the board grant it an additional 5-month extension to December 22, 2019. Formosa points to the investment of time and executed purchase orders of in excess of $1 million for panels and other equipment. On April 16, 2019, the Planning Board of the Township of Livingston granted and approved a final site plan with variances. Formosa submits that the delays caused by the municipal permitting process was unavoidable and unforeseeable at the time that Formosa received the PSA. Petitioner notes that not only construction, but also inspections, testing, and JCPL's interconnection approval process must transpire before the project will be complete as required by the PSA. However, extensions of time to complete under a SREC financing contract are subject to the terms of the board-approved stipulations setting the terms of JCPL's SREC 2 financing program, the stipulation. As such, the board has the authority to grant a second extension for only 3 months. Staff recommends that the board grants a second 3-month extension of the deadline for completion of the project under the SREC PSA with JCPL to October 22nd, 2019.
So moved.
Questions, comments? Yes.
Again, not for all the reasons given, but, I can distinguish this from maybe some other extensions that we might be willing to grant, as they seem to be coming fast and furious in terms of extending these matters, especially since it's, a different type of program, distinct with the JCPL, from my understanding. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. The other types of delays, which, as I just said previously, are part of doing business, need to be anticipated by those that are in that market, rather than expecting to get extensions for those reasons from this board. So.
Any other comments? Yes.
The only thing I would say is that I know that these construction offices, and it's a good sign, are just inundated with inspections and getting out shorthanded. So it's not an excuse, but it's a good one.
Bender?
How much more, the SREC 2 for JCPL is left? How many more contracts?
Okay, we did survey the EDCs and from the SREC 2 program, and there were 105 contracts that were executed. So far, 62 have been completed.
15, right? Oh, sorry.
60, okay. 62 have been completed. 62 have been completed. The number of projects pending completion is 24. 19 have been canceled after the execution of the PSA agreement. Of that, 48 of these projects have been granted first extensions by the EDCs, and this is only the second project that is asking for a second extension for the board.
Commissioner, if I may, staff has been looking at the issue of these extensions. We've had a number of conversations with different commissioners, and it's somewhat difficult to pin down a particular series of rationales that you would use, but one of them is just if someone fails to file on time, we would not take that into consideration, but we're looking at each one of those on an individual basis to see whether or not they've been diligent in trying to get whatever approvals that are necessary. So before we go to the board with any of those recommendations, that will be considered, and we'll discuss that with the individual commissioners at the briefings as well.
Yes.
Is there any pattern in terms of the extension, the type of extension that are coming? And you wanted to just keep an eye on that, yeah.
I wouldn't say there's a pattern in the types. I would say there's probably, because of some of the changes in the law, there are, it appears we may be getting more extension requests. And they're generally on extraordinary circumstances, which is kind of a case-by-case basis. So, but based on some of the conversations we have had with the commissioners, we're looking at those more intently before we make our recommendations.
And I asked that question is that there are a lot of extensions coming in the last few months, yeah.
Yes, right, and yes, we've noticed that as well.
And that's why we have to take them individually, because each case might be unique. By the same token, we have to be careful not to be overly lenient in extending these extensions either. So, any other comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon? Yes. Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon? Yes. President Fiorelliso?
Yes. 8F. And that's you, Jessica?
Yes.
And we discussed this in executive session, did we not?
Yes, we did. Pursuant to the discussion earlier in executive session, staff is recommending that you approve the amendment to the contract for energy efficiency technologies, research and studies between the Board of Public Utilities through the Office of Clean Energy and Optimal Energy Incorporated and authorize staff to execute the amendment on behalf of the board.
So moved.
Comments? Questions? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon? Yes. President Fiorelliso?
Yes. 8G regarding our community solar. Mariana?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So as you know, the final rules for the Community Solar Pilot Program were approved by the board in January of this year. The rules were filed with the Office of Administrative Law and were published in the New Jersey Register on February 19th, 2019. Since the implementation of the pilot program, staff has received a number of inquiries from stakeholders asking the board to clarify the method for determination of the value of the community solar bill credit. The bill credit is defined in the pilot program rules at NJAC 14:8-9.7. In particular, NJAC 14:8-9.7A states that the value of the bill credit shall be set at retail rate, inclusive of supply and delivery charges. 14:8-9.7B states that the calculation of the value of the bill credit shall remain in conformance with retail rate, as determined in A above, and shall remain in effect for the life of the project, defined as no more than 20 years from the date of commercial operation of the project or the period until the project is decommissioned, whichever comes first. And finally, NJAC 14:8-9.7C states that the credit may not be applied to non-bypassable charges. The board determined in its response to comments in the rule adoption document published on February 19th that the non-bypassable charges referred to in the rules are, and I quote, charges that are identified as non-bypassable in the ADICA, NJSA 48:3-51 et sec, or other relevant statutes. In light of these rules, staff recommends the board issue an order clarifying the calculation of the bill credit. With respect to the calculation of the bill credit and pursuant to NJAC 14:8-9.7A, B, and C, staff recommends that the bill credit be calculated based upon the applicable pre-sales and use tax retail rate, inclusive of supply and delivery charges, minus non-bypassable charges. After a review of applicable statutes, board staff recommends that the following charges be defined as non-bypassable exclusively for purposes of the pilot program. 1, the societal benefits charge, SBC, established at NJSA 48:3-60. 2, the market transition charge, MTC, established at NJSA 48:3-61. 3, the transition bond charge, TBC, established at NJSA 48:3-62. And 4, the zero emission certificates, ZEC, established at NJSA 48:3-87.5. Board staff recommends the board clarify that the value of the bill credit does not include demand charges. Staff recommends that the board approve the board order clarifying the calculation of the bill credit for community solar projects in the Community Solar Energy Pilot Program.
So moved.
Questions? Comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
President Fiorelliso?
Yes, and as we've said previously, community solar helps to make solar accessible to populations within our communities that otherwise may not have the ability to participate. So I'm happy we're continuing to work towards making that a reality for people. Thank you. 8H. You again, Ron.
On May 23rd, 2019, Solar LLC submitted. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. On May 23, 2019, Hess Solar LLC submitted a petition to the board requesting a 3-month extension for its solar renewable energy credit registration program application on behalf of the Pinebrook Rehabilitation and Care Center located in Englishtown, New Jersey. Since this is the second extension request, it will require a waiver of board rules at NJAC 14:8-2.4I, which limits applicants to a single 6-month extension in their initial conditional registration. On January 18, 2018, the petitioner submitted an application for approximately 668 kilowatt DC solar project, which is partially roof-mounted and partially a ground-mounted installation. The initial conditional registration on January 23rd had a commitment length of 12 months, or January 23rd, 2019. On December 27th, 2018, Hess requested and received a 6-month extension to July 23rd, 2019 for project completion. Due to unforeseen permitting and Department of Community Affairs approval delays related to healthcare facilities, the project will not be completed by that July 23rd date. Therefore, Hess requests approval of a second extension to October 23rd, 2019. Staff recommends that the board find that Hess has made substantial progress towards project completion and that the delays were unexpected and unforeseeable and grant the petition. Staff also therefore recommends that in this case, the board waive the conditional registration extension provision set forth at NJAC 14:8-2.4I, given the petitioner expectation that the project will be completed and will obtain permission to operate by October. Staff also recommends that the board grant the petitioner 3 months from expiration of its current registration or by October 23rd, 2019, to submit a complete post-construction certification package to the board SRP team. Staff further recommends that the board direct staff to issue a full certification to the project upon petitioner's demonstration that all the requirements for full certification, including all SRP requirements at NJAC 14:8-2 have been satisfied.
So moved.
Questions? Yes. Comments? Questions?
Yep, same comment. As Commissioner Holden pointed out so rightly, it is not unavoidable, unforeseeable that you're going to have these delays when doing projects. I mean, that certainly is something that could be anticipated and expected, and we really need to be careful under what basis that we continue to grant these waivers and the circumstances under which we do so. So again, I wanted to point out that I know you have that in the memo, but I think that it's part of doing business, for certain types of projects, and if it's beyond the expectation, then we can consider it. But it is part of the world that we live in. So.
Any other comments? Yes.
Yes, I understand this project is partially roof-mounted, and one of the prerequisites for mounting solar panels, which are heavy, you got to have a solid roof. I mean, why the township had to point out to them the roof is not good? It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
I raise that as well, Commissioner.
Any other comments, questions? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon? President Fiorelliso?
Yes. 8I has been deferred to our August meeting. 8J. You're up again, Jessica.
Yes, I am. It is my pleasure to present to you today proposed changes to New Jersey Clean Energy Program's protocols to measure resource savings for fiscal year 2020, referred to as the fiscal year 2020 protocols. The protocols document is an important resource for the Clean Energy Program as it includes algorithms for measuring energy and other resource savings, as well as the generation of renewable or clean energy that result from the implementation of eligible measures through the Clean Energy Program. As changes are made both to program offerings within New Jersey's Clean Energy Program and as industry best practices and assumptions are updated and made more precise, changes to the protocols are necessary. The protocols are reviewed by staff as well as the Clean Energy Program's independent evaluator, Rutgers Center for Green Buildings, and the program administrator, TRC Energy Solutions, throughout the year, and necessary updates are identified. As a result of these efforts, on Wednesday, June 5th, 2019, the Clean Energy Program issued a request for comments regarding the draft changes to the protocols. The comment period closed on Friday, June 21st. Within the order, staff has summarized and responded to the comments received and made several changes as a result of the input from stakeholders. In addition to the changes proposed on June 5th and the changes made as a result of stakeholder comments, staff is recommending that the board incorporate the following: a set of updates regarding the calculation of clean air impact section, as suggested by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection and provided on June 25th, 2019, after the request for comments had closed. A set of updates to include dehumidifiers, which were inadvertently omitted from the Energy Star Energy Efficient Products section of the proposed fiscal year 2020 updates to the protocols. A set of updates regarding wall insulation protocols that provide clarification between savings resulting from wall insulation versus that from attic insulation within the existing insulation upgrades measure in the residential existing homes section, and a clarification to the methodology for calculating the emissions reductions for combined heat and power, which would result in the protocols reflecting the industry standard of reporting system emissions based on megawatt hours instead of MMBTUs. Having thoroughly evaluated best practices for measuring energy savings and engaging with stakeholders in preparing the above-noted changes to the protocols, staff is now recommending that the board adopt and approve New Jersey Clean Energy Program's protocols to measure resource savings for fiscal year 2020.
So moved.
This really is the math behind how we calculate the savings. That's the bottom line.
Yes.
Okay. And that's obviously important, isn't it?
Yes.
Any other comments, questions? Yes?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you. As you said, it's the math behind the program and our measurements, and I know it's very wonky, and I appreciate the time you took in answering our questions and getting back to us with that information, because it really is important that we get that right and that we bring it all into compliance, and I appreciate your taking the time to answer our questions and get us that information that we raised with you.
Thank you also for your time taken on it.
Yes.
I just want to concur, we had the same briefing. and thank you for getting back to us. So some of those things just seem counterintuitive, but you really went through it step by step, and we really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you both.
Any other comments, questions? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon? President Fiorelliso?
Yes. Thank you, Jessica. 8K has been deferred until our August meeting. I'm going to ask the indulgence of my colleagues, because there's something on my mind that if I don't mention it, it's going to bother me. And it's going to bother me for a long time. I understand when anything new is introduced that there are concerns. That there are concerns about how it's going to affect those individuals and businesses that are in the field that we're making changes in. I understand that. I remember 12 years ago going through the same thing when we introduced the SREC program. I am just asking that the stakeholders involved at least give this board the courtesy of a phone call if you're unhappy with something. I know you're going to call other entities. I understand that. This staff and this board have worked diligently for 18 months trying to come to conclusion on a number of very important issues. At least give us the courtesy of a phone call if you're unhappy with something. I don't care who else you call, but at least call us and tell us that you are unhappy. And I don't know what the prevailing thinking is regarding any program that we would allow it in any way to deteriorate. That's not why we're here. And if that hasn't been demonstrated over the past 12 months or 18 months, or hasn't been demonstrated over the 14 years I've been on this board, I don't know how else to demonstrate it. All I'm asking is that you give me and my colleagues the respect, and our staff the respect, to at least call us in addition to whoever else you're calling. Because quite frankly, I'm getting sick and tired of it. Thank you for your indulgence. 8L.
8L is in the matter of the New Jersey solar transition pursuant to Public Law 2018, Chapter 17. Sorry. New Jersey is currently organizing a transition of our solar incentive system to one that will maintain New Jersey's robust solar industry at a lower cost to ratepayers. In public notices issued December 26, 2018 and April 8, 2019, staff proposed to organize the solar transition as follows. 1, legacy SRECs available to projects eligible for the current SREC program. 2, the transition incentive, open to projects that filed a complete SRP registration or application for designation or conditional certification after October 29, 2018, and have not yet reached commercial operation at the time the board determines that the 5.1% milestone has been attained. And 3, the successor program, which would be open to projects that have not filed a complete SRP registration prior to the board's determination that the 5.1% milestone has been attained. The solar transition has, over the last few months, generated some uncertainty within the industry regarding the future of the New Jersey solar incentive programs. In particular, some stakeholders have expressed concerns regarding the future of projects that are already in the SRP pipeline, but will likely not achieve commercial operation by the time the board determines that the 5.1% milestone has been achieved. Staff proposes that the board issue an order which would provide some assurance that projects that filed a complete SRP registration or application for designation or conditional certification after October 29, 2018, and that have not reached commercial operation at the time the board determines that the 5.1% milestone has been attained, would be eligible to be considered for any transition program that the board may adopt, subject to their maintaining eligibility to the SRP in all respects, and subject to the terms and conditions of the transition incentive approved by the board.
So moved.
I think or hope that this particular item helps to clarify to our stakeholders that otherwise qualified solar program projects that are not eligible for the legacy SREC program at the time of the board determines that the 5.1% milestone has been attained. Clarity is important. And hopefully this helps to provide some of that clarity, as does all of our stakeholder meetings help to provide that clarity. Any other comments, questions? Roll call.
I think there
I'm
was
sorry.
a lot of concern about the economic viability of investing or attracting investments into the solar industry. I think this order should clarify and provide the reassurance to the industry participants that there is a transition program and the procedurally how you're going to handle, until you reach 5.1%, and once you reach 5.1%, until the replacement for SRECs, whatever that might be, coming, there will be a transition, and all those things will be addressed. I think this should put it to rest that they should be able to go out and get the financing that's required for the solar industry. I think this is a very good move on our part to provide that reassurance to the industry.
Any other comments, questions? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon? Yeah. Oh. Commissioner Chivukula? Yes. Commissioner Gordon? Yes. President Fiorliso?
Yes, thank you, Ariane. That brings us to the miscellaneous items, 9A, which was discussed in executive session. And who's presenting, please?
I am. I'm over here.
Where? There you are.
Good morning, Commissioners. Hi, Suzanne. Yes. This is in the matter of the Energy Assistance Grant as authorized under NJSA 48:2-29.39 and NJSA 46:30B-74B, payment assistance of gas and electric programs, which, as you said, we discussed in executive session. Staff recommends that the board take action to issue a letter consistent with the discussion that took place in executive session.
So moved.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon? Yes. Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon? Yes. President Fiorliso?
Yes. 9B. Hi, Maureen.
Hi. This item also concerns the board's PAGE program. PAGE is an energy assistance program for low to moderate income households. Sorry about that. PAGE is an energy assistance program for low to moderate income households and is funded by ASHEETS dollars, which is unclaimed property from utility companies that ASHEET to the state when the money is left unclaimed for a certain period of time. Staff is recommending the board put the PAGE contract out for bid at this time, and item 9B would initiate that process by releasing a notice of grant availability for publication in the New Jersey Register to solicit bids for administering the PAGE program on a going forward basis. If the board approves this recommendation, it's the goal of staff that the notice would be published on August 19th. Bids would be received by September 18th, and board staff would return to the board with a recommendation for a grantee at the October 25th, 2019 agenda meeting. Staff recommends the board approve the release of this notice to the New Jersey Register for publication.
So moved.
Questions, comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon? Yes. Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon? Yes. President Fiorliso?
Yes. Brings us to 9C regarding Zero Emission Certificate Program. Mr. Walker.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Commissioners. Yes, as you indicated before the board today to discuss the ZEC program, with the board's approval of the 3 applicants back in April 18th, that approval triggered several tasks which needed to happen going forward for the ZEC program. Some of them are annual requirements, some of them are program requirements that were all designated or due to the Act. Staff believes that the board can immediately implement some of these. However, there are other items that going forward that staff believes will require some additional input from various groups. So I'll go through those briefly in general. Per the Act, the staff and the board are required to, the board is required to establish the ZEC price annually. That is, the calculation for that is included in the Act. So we'll be proceeding under that guise. However, for the stub period that was created from the April 18th approval to the May 31st end of the energy year, staff is recommending we use that same calculation, but only for that short period of time to try and keep the ZEC price consistent with what it will be going forward. Otherwise, the results would be very skewed. Annually, the units receiving ZECs have to certify continued operations for the remainder of their eligibility period at full or near full capacity. The board's required to do an annual review of the dollar amounts received to make sure that there's no double payment for items specifically mentioned in the Act, such as fuel diversity, resilience, air quality, and other environmental attributes. The thing the board will have to look at is changes in the PJM market, changes on the federal level, subsidies, things along those lines that would be construed as a double payment along with the ZECs. The units receiving ZECs are required to enact or to supply within 2 years 2 personnel plans, one for layoff mitigation and the other one for economies of scale and economic futures. The Act also requires a dry cask storage study to be presented to the state by the unit owners receiving ZECs. Additionally, the Act talks about eligibility periods or the subsequent eligibility periods. So the initial period concludes May 31, 2022. The idea being that units 13 months prior who wish to continue receiving ZECs have to notify the board, and then the board will once again review the applications going forward. Timelines need to be established for that, and staff is under the impression that such a review for extenuating or continuing of the applications or receipt of ZECs should require the full application process again. Additionally, the Act requires a 10-year study by the board for the efficacy of the ZEC program. It's a little premature at this time, but it's one thing that we have to consider. So based on that, staff is recommending, and I'll go through them very briefly, actions that we feel the board can immediately implement. And staff is also recommending to the board that we initiate a stakeholder process to discuss some of the issues that will require significantly more investigation. Examples of that would be the continued capacity requirements. The term near full capacity is not defined in the Act. We'd like to get outside input and stakeholder input on what that is. Looking at the double payment side, we would like to get stakeholder input on what would constitute an outside payment beyond the ZECs for fuel diversity, resilience, air quality, environmental attributes. The dry cask study, there's 2 lines in the Act, doesn't define any parameters at all. We thought it would be important to do a proper layout of what the requirements of that study would be. So all that being said, staff is recommending that the board direct staff to do the ZEC price annually, which we will present in August, based on the calculation provided in the ZEC Act, that the board accepts staff's recommendation for the calculation of the stub period, that the board directs selected units to submit the personnel plans required under the Act by April 18th, 2021, that the board also find staff's recommendation of holding a stakeholder process is appropriate and prudent. Within that stakeholder process, as stated, we will ask for input on the following the logistics and parameters of the dry cask study, what revenue information should be submitted to the board annually by the units receiving ZECs to see what would qualify as double payment or additional revenues for fuel diversity, resilience, air quality, and environmental attributes, to determine the definition of near full capacity, to get input on the timeline and submission schedule for intended continuation applications for continuation to receive ZECs on the next eligibility period. Additionally, the board has the ability under the Act going into the second eligibility period to modify the ZEC charge. That's the 4 mils fee charged by the EDCs to all retail customers. Staff would like to get input from the stakeholders for the board on what would trigger that, what the parameters would be, how to implement such a change, and how to analyze the necessity of such a change, what information we should look at. Additionally, in the stakeholder process, we'd like to look at and get information on the 10-year study. One additional thing, and this was not required in the Act, but staff's request, with the initial application, we noticed there was a lot of information that was pertinent, but not necessarily needed for the initial review on the financials and the environmental. On the opposite side, staff wound up issuing additional questions that were not in the original application. So staff is going to ask the board if we can modify the application more appropriately from what we learned, and we will present that to the board as well by April of 2021.
So moved.
Comments? Yes.
Yeah, Tom, as part of this personnel plan, is it possible to get job descriptions?
Yes, sir. We can.
Because, that way you can monitor what jobs can be eliminated, could be potential for layoffs and things like that. The second question is regarding the dry cask storage study. What about the wet storage, wet pools that they have that's outside of the scope?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, sir?
The hot rods are going to be put in a wet swimming pool for 18 months or so, and then once they cool down, then they put it in the dry cask.
Correct, that's my
So
understanding.
will that also, the whole process will be looked at?
We can talk to the stakeholders and see if the whole cool down process is necessary. I believe the Act was referring specifically to the casks themselves. However, I mean, we can open it up to anything at this point.
Yeah, just find, the whole process, yeah. The third question I have is the 10-year study, right? I think it's called 10-year study, right?
Yes, sir.
And so what is the purpose of that? I mean, I know you're trying to get the FERC-related issues and all the Department of Energy grants and all that stuff you're looking at, but 10 years from now, the universe is going to change.
Well, to be blunt, sir, the description in the Act of the 10-year study is one sentence. So we're kind of open to whatever we think it should be, whatever the stakeholders and the board thinks it should be. My interpretation just on that sentence would be that looking to see if the ZEC program was a positive result for the state itself, for the air quality issues that the state is basically grappling with. But again, we can easily define what would be important, what would not be important. Because you're right, 10 years from now, it might not even, make a difference.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden?
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon? Yes. Commissioner Chivukula?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon? President Fiordaliso?
Yes, and just a reminder again, if you want to get on the BPU listserv for stakeholder meetings regarding the ZECs or anything else, go to our website and you would automatically be notified of these events. If there are no other items to discuss, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We're adjourned.